The advanced economies need to be out of coal by 2030 and the whole world by 2050.
The standout example of transitioning away from coal is really the UK. And it's remarkable how rapid that's been.
We're the first country in the world to have coal-fired power. We were the home of the Industrial Revolution. So there's perhaps a special interest, a special responsibility in sort of showing leadership now that we know what's needed going forward. We basically went from having 40% of our electricity generated from coal just 5 years ago to a famous day last year in 2017 where we had zero coal in our energy mix. And the way we did it was we brought in a number of measures like a carbon price to properly reflect the pollution that you get from coal. We brought in measures to help renewables get started. And we've had a huge offshore wind revolution.
We would expect to have more periods of no coal generation, particularly as the mix of technologies continues to change and as coal starts to come off the system. We expect nearly all of it to be off by the mid-2020s.
So the UK is a leader in offshore wind right now, largely due to the fact that it started earlier than everybody else. And now suddenly offshore wind has totally rejuvenated places like Hull, for example.
Offshore wind has transformed the Humber region. Employment's been at the highest it's ever been. Everything from house prices, jobs, salaries, that's indicated that it's had a great impact.
For Ørsted, I mean, we're really proud to be in Grimsby. We're doing really state-of-the-art operations. It is breathing new life into town, and that ripple effect of that new activity, further into the town. So we're seeing new hotels coming forward. You're seeing taxi companies being really busy. You're seeing all these different other ancillary kind of services that are also growing around this new opportunity.
I think historically we've got a workforce that's well skilled, both from an engineering perspective and maritime, and the maritime bit's hugely important. So we are, a blueprint, jobs that have been created and just not in manufacturing but in the services, new training centres and facilities.
People in this area are very proud of the heritage and proud of up and coming new business as well.
So in Europe now we've seen in places like Germany and the Netherlands, developers of offshore wind farms have said, look, we don't need subsidies anymore.
I would argue that phasing out of the coal plants is, in the Netherlands, predominantly driven by the climate concern and not so much by the immediate pollution concern. And that's different, I think, from quite a few other countries in the world.
And we used to have 10 coal plants in the Netherlands till 2 years ago, and 5 of them are closed already. The other 5 are going to be closed in the next 10 years.
In Europe, we want to make sure that the transition away from coal helps also to create new jobs for those families and people dependent on coal jobs.
We as a union support the closing down of the coal plants, but there has to be a solution for new jobs for the people who lose their job.
I expect that building and maintaining of wind farms will be one of the drivers of new jobs in the next 10 years.
But where it's going well is where there's a discussion that says the future is going to look different. We need to embrace that future. There are lots of co-benefits to a future away from coal.
The challenge is enormous, it's unprecedented in human history, but it can be done when people get together and understand what's needed and work together to make sure that they ensure it's fair for everybody. It can be done and it has to be done.